Prevention. My name's Dr. Nancy, and as a dentist, I know better than most people about preventing cavities and tooth decay. What about prevention for any sicknesses or illnesses? We all have choices, and due to a lack of awareness or knowledge, some of us make poor choices. It's a privilege for me to introduce Dr. Joel Wallach. He has co-authored 10 books with his wife, Dr. Milan. He's been a naturopathic doctor for the last 30 years. He's been a veterinarian for almost 50 years. His world-famous Dead Doctors Don't Lie audio CD has sold over 160 million copies worldwide. And he talks every day, 2 hours on a radio talk show, Monday to Friday, about health and answers questions from the public world over for the last 16 years. He's done over 20,000 autopsies on animal and human. He's a postdoctoral comparative pathologist. He's done 10 million lab chemistries. He's been nominated for a 1991 Nobel Prize. Is there anything that he might not know? I'm not sure. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Joel Wallach.
Thank you, Dr. Nancy. Appreciate your help and appreciate you being here so early in the morning. And as both John and Dr. Nancy said, this is a choice. We cannot save everybody, even though we'd like to do that. This is as Darwin said, it's a struggle. It's a survival of the fittest, and the fittest sometimes are mentally fit as well as physically fit. So, again, the thing that makes my view different is that I am a veterinarian as well as a physician, and in veterinary medicine we don't have health insurance. And that's been a saving grace for the veterinary industry, that we don't have health insurance for animals. There's no law requiring medical doctors to cure you when there's a cure available, so they don't. They've learned how to game the insurance system, whether it's Health Canada or private insurance, whether it's Social Security and Medicare in the United States or private insurance. They've learned how to game the system. And they have learned how to use the patient as an ATM machine. We don't like to say that. We don't like to believe that. In our heart of hearts, we'd like to believe that the medical system works because they're altruistic and they're out there trying to help people, and they get rewarded because they're doing good things. Of course, that's the way it was many years ago, but not today, unfortunately. And I'm going to use some things that are proofs, because if I were just to say these things, you'd say, this guy's been doing something funny, sniffing glue or something, right? So we're going to start out with this, which is a cover story, Time Magazine, December 2008, the sorry state of American health, and you could also add the sorry state of Canadian health. All right, the sorry state of American and Canadian health. Despite advances in medicine, Americans and Canadians are less healthy than we used to be. The next generation, our kids, are going to be worse off. How many of you heard that our kids might not live as long as us? Raise your hand. Okay, that's a good 2/3 of the people in the audience. Well, my favorite Nobel Prize winner, Albert Einstein, said many global things which are unimpeachable. My favorite is, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Now, that prediction that our kids will not live as long as us will come true if we don't change what we're doing. If we keep doing what we're doing, that prediction will come true, and statistically, 50% of you in this room will be standing at a gravesite burying your children before you die. You will be burying your children. So we must change what we're doing, because whatever we're doing has failed us. Anybody here own a dog? Anybody own a dog? Okay, I'll take Shar here in the front row. You own a dog. What kind of dog is it? Is it a toy dog or is it a... Okay, little poodle, toy poodle. What's the dog's name? Cocoa Puff. Obviously you love Cocoa Puff. Is Cocoa Puff a boy or a girl? He's a boy, okay. Your boy toy, right? He's an it. Okay, he's been fixed. Okay. And do you feed Cocoa Puff commercial dog food, or you give them table scraps and garbage? Commercial dog food. Okay, with a supplement specifically for dogs. Now, do you get dog food for his body weight, or you just feed him whatever is cheapest and for small dogs? Okay, because dog foods are blended for giant breeds over 100 pounds, 100-pound dogs, middle-sized dogs, 35 to 50-pound dogs, toy breeds under 20 pounds, toy breeds under 10 pounds. And that's because you have to be dose-specific for nutrition to work. If you feed a toy dog dog food for a 50-pound dog, their teeth fall out, they get back problems, heart problems, they die early. Now, following the right rules with dog food, we've tripled the lifespan of dogs in the last 60 years. 60 years ago, an old dog was 8. Today, an old dog is 25. We've eliminated 900 different diseases in dogs that still plague people. We've eliminated every birth defect you can name in dogs that still plague people, 10 times that many that you can't. And we didn't do that with genetically engineered proteins, stem cells, organ transplants, and wonder drugs. We did all these wondrous things simply by adding all the known essential nutrients in optimal amounts per body weight in dog food. Now, as a kid, it always seemed odd to me that we would do that for animals and nobody was doing it for people. So since 1978, I've been doing this for people as a licensed naturopathic physician. Now, there's two questions we need to ask Shar here. Now, what would happen if you would feed Cocoa Puffs only garbage? You say, okay, I don't want to cut back on my electricity use, so I'm going to go around to all my neighbors and pick up their leftovers and table scraps and garbage and feed it to Cocoa Puff. Would you do that? No. Well, what would happen to Cocoa Puff if you were to do that? Get sick and die. He would sick and die early, right? Wouldn't live to be 25. And so here comes the ultimate question, ladies and gentlemen. How come that we eat, you feed your kids and your grandkids food that will kill a dog? Most people don't realize that they're eating food that you wouldn't feed your dog. Sure got quiet in here because most people don't think of it in that fashion. So we created what we call 90 for life. It's the 90 essential nutrients appropriate for body weight for human beings. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids. And this is designed to be fed to us as a supplement to our food by body weight, just like we do for dogs. They're called 90 essential nutrients because we cannot make them. We must consume them every day, either as food or as supplements. Number two, if they're missing for any length of time, seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, if they're missing for lengths of time, you get horrible diseases, many of which are fatal. Certainly many are debilitating. So, can't make them, and we get disease if you don't have them. Now, we need 60 minerals again, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids, and our food plants, our grains, vegetables, fruits, and nuts, are able to take carbon dioxide out of the air, use the sun's energy in a process known as photosynthesis to cleave off the O2, pump that back out in the atmosphere, take the carbon, make long chains, and manufacture or create vitamins, amino acids, and fatty acids for their own use, and we're able to eat the plants and get those things. Now, plants only need 3 minerals. Plants only need 3 minerals. Plants need phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. Magnesium makes chlorophyll, makes the leaves of the plant green. Okay? Able to use the sun's energy. The the potassium and the phosphorus are necessary for the growth processes, cofactor for growth hormones and growth physiology and metabolism of a plant. And so those are the 3 minerals plants need. We as vertebrates, all vertebrates, whether you're a hummingbird or a snake or a human being or a gorilla or an elephant or a giraffe, rat, doesn't matter, we all need the 60 minerals. And so if you eat a pretty good slice of organically grown multigrain bread, baked with love by the pastor's wife in the church on Sunday, you're 57 mineral short. That's why there's no flourishing colonies of third-generation vegans. Find me a third-generation flourishing colony of vegans where there's hundreds of giggling kids running around. There are none. Not because veganism can't work, it's because nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like chocolate and chocolate ripple ice cream. And so some people luck out, and by dumb luck, they set up farms where there's minerals in the soil. Everybody else who gets cheap land or whatever, suddenly they don't get much. All right, and they're in trouble. This is a cornfield in western Nebraska, not too far southwest of here. And it looks like, to the naked eye, that these rows of corn are pretty uniform. But you can't tell which of those rows has 60 minerals, if there are any rows in there with 60 minerals. What if they only have 22? If the top mineral row in that field has 22 minerals and all the rest of them have 3 and 5 and 6 and 8? Now the farmer knows this. So is he going to risk, since there's no insurance to pay for illnesses in livestock, is he going to risk a big veterinary bill and go broke that year? No. It's much cheaper for him to give every animal the 90 essential nutrients and prevent all diseases. It's much cheaper to do it that way. You cannot feed animals right and 100% of the time get a perfect diet because nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like chocolate and chocolate ripple ice cream, and the same is true for us. But out of, I don't know, laziness of thought, or we've been duped, or however you want to say it, We believe if we have good insurance, be it government or private insurance, that everything's going to be fine. Because if you get sick, then you just have insurance pay for the care. Well, I'm 72 years old. I've been taking the 90 essential nutrients twice a day since I was 9. I haven't been to a doctor in 64 years. I haven't been sick in 64 years. I don't have a single health problem. I've never been on a prescription medication. If everybody was like this, guess what? There would be no medical profession, because there would be nobody paying medical bills. Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to be responsible for this, because the doctors are enjoying insurance too much. They use an ATM machine. We don't like to believe that. We'd like to believe in our heart of hearts that doctors are nice people. They go to our churches, they're our neighbors, in some cases they're our kids, our relatives. But they all learn how to game the system. This is a Canadian wheat field in Western Canada. You can't tell which of those windrows has the most minerals in it. They all have at least 3, we know, otherwise there wouldn't be any wheat there. But which one has 60, which one has 22, which one has 18, you can't tell by looking at it. So the only way you can assure you're going to get all 60 essential minerals to prevent 900 different diseases, as we've done in the livestock, is to supplement. You cannot eat well. Organic foods do not give you more nutrition. All they do is guarantee less chemicals, a lowered chemical load. Reduce your risk of cancer from too many chemicals. That's a good thing. But it's not the only thing. There's nothing worse than lowering your chemical load by eating organic at a high price and then dying of a heart attack because you ate food that didn't have any selenium in it. Raise your hand if you've ever heard that Brazil nuts have lots of selenium in it. Well, that's a lie. Brazil nuts don't need selenium. Brazil nut trees don't need selenium. So how can you look at a Brazil nut and tell me how much selenium is in there? Are you prepared to risk cheating your kids and your grandkids out of 25 to 50 years of healthful life, risk having them die of a heart attack or liver cirrhosis, get cataracts and go blind, get cancer because they didn't have enough selenium because you're giving them Brazil nuts because some clerk in a health food store told you you're getting plenty of selenium in Brazil nuts? Bam, you're dead. That's a test for heart health. This is a satellite picture from 100 miles up of agricultural land in Southern California. This is the Salton Sea, which is about 1/10 the size of the Great Salt Lake in Utah. And this is land, agricultural land, again in Southern California. The Arizona border is just east of here, over here someplace. And this is wintertime. The fields have been burnt. They're naked here. They're getting prepared to put fertilizer and seed in there. And look at the different colors. Look at all the swirls and veins and things, just like chocolate and chocolate ice cream. And you look at this, all the different colors, they represent different minerals, different mixes of minerals. And so if you were to grow sweet potatoes in every one of those areas, or onions, or tomatoes, or beans and peas, or squash or corn, would every row contain the same amount of minerals and the same variety of minerals? The answer is no. Again, in agriculture, we know this. And since we don't have insurance to pay for the results of not being proactive here and supplementing with all 60 essential minerals and all 90 essential nutrients, we have to supplement. Otherwise, you're going to get sick and die early. We're supposed to be at the top end of the intelligence chain here, ladies and gentlemen. And anybody who tells you you can eat well and get everything you need, you should flee from them as fast as you can, because they've come from the ship of fools. Okay? You do not want to risk your life, your health, and the life, better yet, or worse yet, I guess, the life and health of your kids and grandkids. Do not do that. It's worse than playing Russian roulette. At least if you lose with Russian roulette, you die suddenly. This is what makes longevity different. This is a plant compost from thousands of years ago. We know this because this cap here, 25 to 50 foot thick, is a cap of limestone. We know this because there's marine animal and marine plant fossils in there. So we know that this compost is at least millions of years old, and is composed out of plants from that era. And there's 77 minerals in there. It's been certified organic every year for 35 years, and this is the core of everything we do. So we guarantee you 77 minerals, including all 60 essential minerals, every time you supplement with our program. our 90 for life, our 90 essential nutrients, the Mighty 90. In churches, they call it the Almighty 90. This is what makes our program different. Nobody else has this. This looks like a pretty good meal for the average person. You see the grilled chicken breast, but you can see this burnt fat here where the grill was. Grill burnt the fat in those lines. Well, that turned into heterocyclic amines, which was one of the most egregious cancer-causing substances ever. It's more dangerous for forming cancer than all the chemicals the Dow Chemical could put together. And people voluntarily eat that way. Okay? You shouldn't be doing that. We know that there's at least 4 minerals in here. There's sulfur in the essential amino acids in that chicken breast. Not a lot, but there's some sulfur in there. Methionine, cysteine. Then there's magnesium, because it takes magnesium to make broccoli green. All other plants, the green is only in the leaves. Broccoli is one of the places where you get some magnesium in the actual plant, the food itself. Then all other plants on here, the rice and the berries and the melon and the carrots and the cauliflower, require potassium and phosphorus. So you have potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and sulfur. So we know there's 4 minerals on this dish. That's all we know. We know there's some amino acids in the chicken breast. We know there's some antioxidants in those berries and melon. How many antioxidants measured by ORAC points are in there? We don't know. If you knew that if you take 100,000 ORAC points a day in antioxidants, it would eliminate cancer totally, and nobody in your family would get cancer if they all took in 100,000 ORAC points, how many of you would demand to know how many ORAC points are in those berries? Well, it'd be pretty expensive to analyze each batch, wouldn't it? Well, I'm going to analyze each berry at $2,500. It's not going to happen. Okay? And so what's going to happen is, as you'll see in a moment, we have products that 2 units of the product, which are about the size of a pat of butter, have 33,000 ORAC points. So what I need to do is take 2-3 times a day, which I do. I get over 100,000 ORAC points from this dark chocolate product called Triple Treat Chocolate. And it's a fun way to lower blood pressure, get your ORAC points, get over 100,000 ORAC points, and add 25 to 50 healthy years to your life. Why would you hope and pray by eating, well, I'm eating dark berries, there's lots of antioxidants. What does lots of mean? How close to 100,000 does that come? Is there 25 in there? Is there 50? Is there 200? Is there 1,000? That's still 99,000 short. The only way you're going to guarantee you're going to get all essential nutrients in optimal amounts is to supplement. You must supplement. You cannot get everything you need just by eating well. It's impossible. Now the problem we have in both Canada, the United States, and the industrialized world is that we have baby boomers, the result of the Second World War, when all the boys came home from the Second World War. And being born between 1946 and 1964, it's this large bubble, kind of like an egg going through a hose, a garden hose, right? And there's 80 million baby boomers in America and 8 million baby boomers in Canada. Between us, there's 88 million, almost 100 million baby boomers. Add on a couple more years, there's 100 million of us, right? Now, this is a huge market, and everybody goes after it. So, my wife and I, as was pointed out, we've written about 12 books. This is our most recent one. It's called Immortality. What we did was we went through big universities, anthropology departments, through the National Geographic, 60 years of National Geographics, and picking up information on the longest lived cultures on Earth. We put them all in this book. I was surprised that they didn't take all the long-lived cultures that they featured on cover articles and put them in one publication, one magazine. They didn't do that, so my wife and I did. We gave them plenty of credit, but they should have done it a long time ago, so we put all 20 of the longest-lived cultures in the world that they've done great stories on over the years. Plus, we had a lot of stuff from the agricultural departments of the countries they came from, plus universities in those countries where they did anthropological studies on them. First of all, the top 20 longevity cultures are all third world cultures. Not a single first world or industrialized culture that's in the top 20 longevity cultures. I found that kind of amazing. No doctors, no pharmacists, no pharmacies, no pharmaceuticals, no hospitals, no clinics, no private insurance, no government insurance. The top 20 longevity cultures on Earth. They have 5 generations living in the same household. No need for hospice, no need for recovery centers, rehab centers, no need for daycare. And the culture gets passed down through 5 generations. They're uniform. As a result, they have 40 times the 100-year-olds we have here in North America. Between Canada and the United States, we have 100-year-old per 10,000, according to Harvard and McMaster medical schools. We have 100-year-old per 10,000. These cultures, the top 20 longevity cultures, have 100-year-old per 250 of their population. I want to know what they know. Well, it turns out they don't have any utilities either. No electricity, no propane, no natural gas. Their common fuel is wood. So we put a fire here on the cover of the book, Immortality, a fire icon to show that that was very important to longevity. Now, why would that be important? Anybody raise your hand if you went to your grandpa's house and he still had a wood stove? Anybody remember wood stoves? Am I the only one? Okay, there's just, I don't know, 10% of the people in the audience still remember wood stoves, okay? And what did Grandpa do with the wood ashes? Where did the wood ashes go every morning? Into the garden. Now, wood ashes are not ashes. All the carbon in the wood was burnt, and the powder that's left are the minerals that the tree sucked up out of the ground. Now, are all wood ashes, a.k.a. plant minerals, all over the world, are they the same? No. If there's only 3 minerals in the soil, the wood ashes only contain 3 minerals. If there is 48 minerals in the soil, the wood ashes contain 48 minerals. So what would you suspect about the mineral content of the soil in these top 20 longevity cultures? They have more than 60 minerals in their soil, according to the universities in their country, their agricultural departments. I didn't have to do it. It was already done. I just knew how to ask the question. Well, they still put the wood ashes, the plant minerals, into their gardens, and they eat simple things like peas and beans and squash and sweet potatoes and corn and so forth, but they're getting those minerals from the soil recycled through themselves. All right? Now, there are places like Somalia where the average lifespan is 29. There's places like Costa Rica where the average lifespan is 90. Now, if you take a newborn baby from Costa Rica in the Nicoyan Peninsula, where the actual culture is these long-lived people, the Nicoyans, and you take that child, that newborn child, down to Somalia and feed him as a Somalian, he's going to live to be 29. You take this newborn Somalian and take him to the Nicoyan Peninsula in Costa Rica and feed him as a Costa Rican, he will live to be 90. You see, everybody has a genetic potential, don't they? If you're just getting bread and water, are you going to achieve your genetic potential for health and height and speed and strength and longevity? No! You must have all the raw materials to achieve your genetic potential. And being an expert in yoga and being spiritually elevated doesn't give you minerals. Bam! You're dead! Now, you must appreciate that. They say, what about all these, guys living up in the mountains? Well, what are they using for fuel? They're using wood. They just happen to live in a place with lots of minerals, right? That's why all the monks go there, because that's a place of long life. They're not dumb. They don't know all the chemistry, but they know, well, people live a long time there. That's where I'm going to live, right? Okay, it's pretty simple. Also, these top 20 longevity cultures get all 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids. And they all do it different ways because they live at different elevations, they live in different countries, in different longitudes and latitudes. Some live in jungles, some live in deserts. But the common thread is they all get the 90 essential nutrients, and they certainly get all 60 essential minerals. And so we tell you the recipes and the foods they grow there and the things they do to make it happen. They all live on calorie-restricted diets. How many of you heard that a calorie-restricted diet is very helpful, can help you live longer? Well, the reporters who talk about that never give you the scientific details. There is a little caveat that goes along with a calorie-restricted diet. You must have a biochemically perfect diet. The nutrition in that diet must be perfect. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids. Then you cut the calories. You're getting optimal amounts of those 90 essential nutrients. It will double your lifespan. But if you don't have a perfect diet biochemically and you cut your calories in half, you starve to death. There's a big difference between flourishing and living a long, healthful life and starving to death. But you have to have the 90 essential nutrients. Now, these people are illiterate. They're all illiterate. The top 20 longevity cultures on Earth are illiterate. So how do they know about calorie-restricted diet? It's a dumb accident. They're so poor they can only afford 900 to 1,000 calories a day. The average Canadian and American live on 2,500 to 3,200 calories a day. We take in 3 times the calories these people do. They also don't eat any of the bad things. They don't eat any fried foods. They don't eat any or drink any carbonated drinks. They don't use cooking oils. Not because they wouldn't if it were available to them, but they're so poor they can't afford these things. Who's going to build a drive-through where there's no roads, no money, no utilities? If they built it, nobody would come. And 3 guys on burros going through there every day ain't going to count, right? It's not going to work. And one interesting thing we found was they all take in 20 times to 50 times the antioxidants that the industrialized nations do. They all, as measured by ORAC points. And this was the National Geographic and the Harvard and the McMaster's longevity studies every year come out. They take in 20,000 to 50,000 ORAC points a day. Americans and Canadians on the average take in 1,500, 1,500. They take in 20 times to 50 times the antioxidants we do is actually measured by ORAC points. How many of you heard of super juices? Goji, mangosteen, things like acai berry, pomegranates, noni, maki berry, all these really weird juices. Well, this is where they came from for these long-lived people. People go visit them, want to find out if they're eating these weird berries we've never heard of. That must be their secret. And they bring them home, and everybody still die at 60. And that's because you can't bake a cake with one ingredient, can you, ladies? Now, let's say your grandma sent you her favorite recipe for an angel food cake. And you got the gold medal flour, like she said, and you got the C&H sugar, like she said, and you put in the right Land O'Lakes butter, pure dairy butter, cream, 100% cream butter, and you got the vanilla extract. You put everything in there, except you don't like eggs because you're going to be a vegan, and you left the eggs out. Would you have your grandma's angel food cake? The answer is no. You might have an angel food crepe. It'd be 1/8 of an inch thick and taste like sawdust, but you wouldn't have grandma's angel food cake. The same thing is true for the 90 essential nutrients and 100,000 ORAC points a day. So if all you're doing is taking the 100,000 ORAC points and you don't have anything else, the odds of you living to be 100 and health away is 0. Because just taking the antioxidants in themselves without the 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids, you're still way short of the nutrients you need to reach your genetic potential. Antioxidants alone won't save you. I can see by your faces you're all staring at me like a deer in the headlight with your eyes as big as coffee cup saucers, like, oh my God, we never thought of that. I mean, I eat Brazil nuts and maki juice. Well, it's not enough. Let's see who lives the longest. We'll have some fun here. You would think if money and technology and knowledge and access to the best doctors and insurance had something to do with longevity, that billionaires, if you take billionaires as a group, as a subculture, they would have the biggest percentage of 100-year-olds, or at least average lifespans, wouldn't you? Okay. Well, Forbes magazine did that study. I thought that was the greatest. I was going to do it. And I kept writing Forbes magazine, had they ever done it? And they said, okay, Wallach, we're going to do it. So I didn't have to spend the money. This came out in 2004, and they asked the question, what kills billionaires? I thought that was great, right? And so what they did was study billionaires. They said billionaires are killed by the same unglamorous things that kill the rest of us: heart attack, stroke, diabetes, obesity, cancer, kidney failure, because they said they use the same doctors as everybody else. Dumb! Now, they said as of 2004, there's never been a billionaire lived to be 100, and the average lifespan of billionaires is 78. The average lifespan of a falling down red wine drunk from Aurora, Ontario is 75. You don't gain a whole lot in longevity and health by being a billionaire and paying for the most expensive doctors. Well, they didn't like that, so they redid it 7 years later. In March of 2011, they redid the study. Again, cover article. There it is, March of 2011. There still has never been, as of 2011, a billionaire lived to be 100. Looks like Warren Buffett's not going to make it. And the average age dropped to 66. Now, wait a minute. In 2004, the average lifespan of billionaires was 78. And following the doctor's instructions, they dropped to 66. They lost 12 years in longevity listening to the doctors. Now, would you want a doctor who brags that he treats billionaires? I'd chase him off my lawn with a chainsaw, right? This guy, Steve Jobs, died at 56, 10 years before the average. He brought the average down. You see, he was a vegan. That's why he named his first company Apple. He was a vegan. And he believed in technology as a soul. He thought technology was it. And so he thought you could take a SIM card out of his belly and put a SIM card in. I guarantee you, he had more people looking for his cure than anybody else ever on earth. There was millions and millions and millions of people, because they knew if they had found his cure, they'd be made a trillionaire, wouldn't they? So here they're a little 3 years old, boy, they're texting and they're Wikipediaing and Googling and all this stuff looking for the answer. Bam, he's dead at 56. Now, Grandma was still alive, and he'd have gone to his grandmother, and she'd have given him chicken soup. He'd still be alive. But he got the best medicine that technology could offer, and that's what killed him. Let's look at athletes. How many of you think exercise is a healthy endeavor? I mean, everybody says, you know, exercise is good for you. Well, exercise is one of the most dangerous things you can do. Jim Fixx came out with the concept of personal fitness back in the 1960s, and his friends encouraged him to write his book, which he did in 1977, The Complete Book of Running. And 5 years later, when he's running in Vermont, beautiful day like yesterday, I mean, it was gorgeous, beautiful sunny day, 50 degrees, no wind, and he was running, getting ready for the Olympics. It was mid-September 1982, 5 years after this book comes out. Halfway through his race, he's about the 14th mile, bam, he drops dead of a cardiomyopathy heart attack, a simple deficiency of the trace mineral selenium. Drops dead at age 52. Well, the Journal of the American Medical Association had endorsed his book right away, so when he died at age 52 while he was running, Journal of the American Medical Association, October, the next month, 1982, they did their due diligence, which they should have done 5 years earlier before they endorsed the book. They said, while running, a man's risk of heart attack death increased by a factor of 700%. While running, a man's risk of heart attack death increases by a factor of 700%. So anybody who tells you to go out and exercise is sending you to your death. Now, why is it? You remember, there was this big hoo-ha about neck injuries and concussions, and everybody thinking we're going to have new rules for blocking and tackling, and new pads, and new helmets, and new gear, and everything. And while they were looking into that trauma part of it, they were just looking at lifespans. They go, uh-oh. The sports medicine doctor said, oh my gosh, we didn't realize it, but the average lifespan of a CFLer, right, a Canadian Football League player, is only 55. Well, the insurance company said, well, we're losing money. We got to triple the premiums for their life insurance. If they're dying at 55, we're losing money. We thought they lived to be 75. So we got to triple their premiums, and so they got their actuaries to crunch the numbers and look, and they said, well, that number's not right. The average lifespan of a Canadian football player and American football player is 51.
That's amazing.
Now, here's why. It doesn't matter what sport you play. How many, raise your hand if you know when you exercise or you do physical labor in a factory, or you're a roofer in the summertime, or you're working on roads, digging trenches, you're throwing bales of hay, you sweat. How many know you sweat when you do those activities? Okay, good. Well, when you sweat, what do people say? Drink plenty of water, right? Drink plenty of water so you can rehydrate. That's what kills you. Again, I'm getting this deer in the headlight look. Okay, now, the reason is this. When you sweat, you're not sweating out water, you're sweating out a soup. It contains every nutrient in your blood. And you replace it with water? Here you're sweating out the soup and nutrients, and you're replacing it with water. What's happening to your nutritional reserves in your body? They're going, and there's not much nutrition in your food. And if you're listening to the doctor and just eating well, hoping for the best, and you're replacing your sweat with water, what's happening to your nutritional reserves? They're going down. So a librarian lives to be 100, who never exercise, sits on their duff, right, in an air-conditioned library and do nothing. You know, they got the kids carrying the books for them now. They just one finger. They do everything on the computer. They live to be 100. These athletes out there getting paid. They're getting the best nutrition. They have personal physicians and team physicians, and they got all these personal trainers and all this stuff. They live to be 51, half the life of a librarian. What does that say for exercise? Bam, you're dead. So we came up with a sports drink that has 100 nutrients in it to replace everything you're sweating out. Gatorade has 2. Bam, you're dead. So we came up with what we call Rebound. It has 100 nutrients in it, including all 60, it actually has 77 minerals in it, including all 60 essential minerals. Replaces everything you're sweating out. We are beloved by Olympic athletes, professional athletes, and university athletes. Okay, who needs doctors? U.S. News World Report February 2005, rated America's most credible print news source, U.S. News Report. Special health issue. Who needs doctors? Your future physician might not be a medical doctor. You may be better off. Do you think every medical doctor in America made sure that was in their waiting room that month? I don't think so. I think they probably went around town, bought them all up, and shredded them. Now, why would they do that? That would be an insane thing. I guess every doctor canceled their subscriptions. That's because they read the same statistics. Now, let's look at doctors themselves. In my original audio cassette tape back in 1993, I said the average medical doctor lives to be 58. I did a study. I just randomly took 200 obituaries out of the Journal of the American Medical Association, added up their ages, divided by 200, got 58. So why would you go to a group of people whose average lifespan is 58 to learn how to live to be 100? It doesn't make sense to me. They, well, that can't be right. So they did their own study. They got 250,000 death certificates. Right? We went back to the turn of the 20th century. But Wallach's group was too small. The study group was too small. So they said, Wallach lied. The average primary care physician, family doctor doesn't lie at 58 like he says. We die at 56. They were so eager to show that my statistics were wrong that they failed to realize that they showed they died 2 years earlier than I said. So I'm here to apologize for giving them too many years. So again, why would you go to a group of people whose average lifespan is 56 according to their own studies to ask for health information? Bam, you're dead. Now here's Socrates, a Brazilian international soccer star. He was a medical doctor. He was a primary care physician and a soccer star. He dies at 57 of a heart attack. I mean, he had a double whammy. So he died between 56 and 58. This is out of a Michigan newspaper, March of 2012. A 111-year-old woman, this lady here in the picture, she's doing needlepoint. She works in her garden every day, oldest person in Michigan. And they asked her, what do you do to live to be 111? She says, well, I keep working. She works in the garden every day. And she says, I don't go to doctors. I thought that was great. Now, this is my favorite obituary because it tells everything. George Francis was the oldest man in America back in 2008. Dies at 112. He's illiterate. A swamp rat, lives out in the swamps of Louisiana. Totally illiterate. That's his daughter in the picture reading the newspaper to him because he can't read. He just looks at pretty pictures. Right? And he had just lived on a little subsistence farm, living on crawfish and fried catfish and sweet potatoes and garlic and stuff, eating like a Cajun. And the interesting thing about this obituary, the first paragraph said he lived through 19 U.S. presidents whose average lifespan was 75. U.S. presidents have at least one university degree. Many of them, because they're lawyers, have 2 and 3 university degrees. He didn't even have kindergarten. George Francis didn't even have kindergarten. Now, the medical doctors who care for U.S. presidents have at least one, actually they have 2 university degrees. Many of them had 3 and 4 because of their specialties. Their average lifespan is 56, half his age. He didn't even have kindergarten. I want to know what George knew. Why did he live to be 112? And all these knowledgeable people who know everything die at 56. How do you know they know everything? Because they tell you so before they die. Okay. Now, when they asked his daughter, when he died, when George died, they asked his daughter, what did your daddy do to live to be 112? And she said, well, he broke all the rules of healthy eating. Who came up with all the rules of healthy eating? Medical doctors who died at 56. He broke all the rules of healthy eating with a diet heavy on dairy, eggs, and lard sandwiches. Anybody know what lard is? L-A-R-D? It's pig fat! You see, this oil thing is just in the last 60 years. 60 years ago, nobody used oil in cooking or in salad dressings or anything like that. That's all relatively new. We threw the baby out with the bathwater after thousands and thousands and thousands of years of learning how to cook with cream and butter and lard and chicken fat and all that kind of stuff. And because we're so clever, we went to oils. Bam, we're dead! Because it's cooking with oils, using even cold pressed oils at room temperature in the refrigerator that inflame your arteries and cause clogged arteries and stroke and heart attacks. Oils kill. Sure got quiet in here again. I can always tell that deer in the headlight look. You want to kill yourself? Cooking extra virgin olive oil. Cooking coconut oil. Take a tablespoon of it twice a day, you'll kill yourself. It'll be a long, painful death. You want to kill yourself, just shoot yourself in the head. Get it over with quick. At least be merciful. Now, the longest lived person I believe is the actual age is this gal here from Indonesia. And she's actually 159 now. 2 years ago, she was 157. She's still alive. She was born in 1853. And we know this from her birth certificate and her baptismal records from her church in Indonesia. It's a Dutch Reformed church in Indonesia. Now, I guarantee you she has not yet reached her genetic potential. Very few people reach their genetic potential for longevity. That's why my wife and I, because of 88 million baby boomers between Canada and the United States, are coming up with all these diseases, and we have to save as many people as we can. Linus Pauling had 2 unshared Nobel Prizes. He died at 93, began taking mixing bowls full of vitamins and minerals when he was 20 years old because his passion was nutrition. He never got a Nobel Prize for his interest in vitamin C, but he got his first Nobel Prize for doing research into the nutrition of enzymes, the nutrition of genes, and the nutrition of chromosomes. And while he was receiving his first Nobel Prize, he said, you can trace every sickness, every disease, and every ailment to a mineral deficiency, because even genes will not work without mineral cofactors. You can take the perfect genes from a 2,000-year-old person, put them in a bucket of saline, say, okay, genes, make me a person who's going to live to be 2,000. Them genes ain't doing nothing, because they need raw materials. Just like a factory. You can have the most modern factory with robots and computers. If there's no labor in there, and there's no utilities, there's no energy going in there, and there's no raw material or parts going in there, can that factory make anything? The answer is no. The same thing with your genes, which are just a blueprint. If you don't have the raw materials like nutrients as substrates for the genes to make something, you're doomed. Okay? So he was quite correct. You can trace every sickness, every disease, and every ailment to a mineral deficiency. Obesity is a disease of deficiency. It is not a disease of excess. That's why between Canada and the United States, we're the #1 obese continent on earth. Okay? It's because we've mistakenly thought of it as a disease of excess. It's actually a disease of deficiency. Despite diets, machines on TV, more people belonging to fitness centers, everybody running and jogging and walking, everybody eating fat-free foods, everybody at least has a grain belly. I remember the old term beer belly. Well, beer is just liquid bread. And so you give up the beer and you eat more whole bread, more whole grain bread, you get a grain belly. You know, I've lost 50 pounds, but I still have this belly. How do I get rid of this belly fat? Don't eat grain. Grain kills. Grain is not an essential nutrient. Carbohydrates and sugars are not essential nutrients. The only essential nutrients are minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and fatty acids. You can make all the carbohydrates and sugar you need from fats and proteins. Therefore, they cannot be essential nutrients because you can make them, and there's no disease you get if you don't get them. They're not essential. 70% of our kids in Canada and the United States are overweight, 40% are obese, not from too much screen time, not from lack of exercise, but from lack of minerals. It shows up in weird ways. Here's little Natalie Hayhurst, Terre Haute, Indiana. She's 3 years old. She eats light bulbs. Thank God there's no calories in light bulbs. Because she has the same problem that a pregnant woman has. The embryo steals minerals from the mother faster than she's taking them in. She has cravings, and she gains, what does she call it, baby fat? And 25 years later, she hasn't taken any minerals, so she still hasn't lost that 25 pounds of baby fat. If she's had 5 kids, that's 125 pounds she gained. So one of the books we came up with is called Hell's Kitchen. Tells you why you must give up grains if you want to lose the weight and be healthy. How do you fatten cattle? You give them whole grains. How do you fatten people? You give them whole grains. You eat whole grains, you're dead. But they say, well, who are they? You better ask them again quickly, because they're 55 years old and 11 months old. Okay, Loyola University Medical School in Chicago, exercise won't cure obesity. That was January 2009. Time magazine, August of 2009, the myth about exercise, it won't make you lose weight. You take the 90 essential nutrients, you throw in some extra minerals, the weight goes away almost overnight. It's amazing. How many have heard of Alzheimer's disease? Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease. It did not occur 40 years ago by any other name, even by another name. What is Alzheimer's disease? Alzheimer's disease is a going away of the myelin, the white matter of the brain. The naked nerve fibers tangle up and you get a short circuiting, and that's what is a short version of what causes Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is caused by physicians because the white matter of the brain, the myelin in the brain, the insulation material of the brain makes up 75% of your brain weight, and it's 100% cholesterol. So you go on a cholesterol-restricted diet, you take cholesterol-lowering drugs, bam, you have Alzheimer's disease. It's a physician-caused disease. Statin drugs, over time, give you Alzheimer's disease. Why is an Alzheimer's tidal wave feared? Because there's 88 million baby boomers coming along between the United States and Canada. Alzheimer's on a relentless upward trajectory. Numbers look particularly grim for baby boomers because they followed the doctor's advice, ate more whole grains, gave up fat, and took statin drugs to lower cholesterol. Bam! They have Alzheimer's disease. You're going to see more of this. A mother and son share the bonds of love and Alzheimer's disease in the same doctor who lowered their cholesterol. This guy was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease by 5 neurological clinics, including the University Medical School there in Greensboro, North Carolina. He'd had it for like 8 years, getting worse and worse and worse. They told his family to put him in a hospice. They refused to do it. I told him what to do, including 10 eggs a day to rebuild the myelin in his brain because he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. In 1 week's time, he was cured. Because he did not have Alzheimer's disease, he had what's called Korsakoff syndrome. Of course, he got the 90 essential nutrients. He got extra stuff, including what we call de-stress capsules. It has the secret sauce for getting rid of Korsakoff syndrome. 1 week's time. He went to the best neurological clinics in North Carolina. Went to the medical school. Had the head of the Department of Neurology give him a personal exam, and he said, yeah, he needs to go into a rehab center. He's done. Put him in a hospice. 1 week, he's cured on supplements and 10 eggs a day. Parkinson's disease the same way. I'm very famous in Moose Jaw, Canada, out west, because it took a very wealthy man who was terminal Parkinson's disease, and in 3 months' time, he was cured, wasn't he, Shar? With diet and supplement program and 15 eggs a day. He was a big fellow, kind of like John's size. He was terminal Parkinson's disease, and in 3 months' time, he's perfectly cured. He brought his insurance company with him because they thought I'd hypnotize him into thinking he was cured. That's how dumb they are. He's not really cured. He just thinks he's cured because all the doctors examined him said he doesn't have Parkinson's disease anymore. Okay, arthritis is a simple disease to get rid of. Do not get surgery. Give me 90 days. I will regrow cartilage. I will regrow the disc in between your vertebrae. Doctors will say it's impossible. You need our surgery. And what I want you to tell your doctor when they say you need surgery, that there's no way you can rebuild cartilage, what you want to do is get right in their face where you can kind of spit on them a little bit when you talk. Liar, liar, pants on fire. I want you to think of me as Donald Trump and you were the apprentice and you're fired. Okay, the last one we have time for is diabetes. It's a simple nutritional deficiency disease. We've known this for 60 years. It is not genetic in any way, shape, or form. You take the supplement program appropriate for your body weight, and within 2 to 14 days you're off your medication, you go back to normal life. Shar, have you ever seen that happen? More than once? Yeah. You ever seen people who are on the foot amputation list get off the foot amputation list? Yes. You ever see people who, I mean, they've sold their property, they're going to move in with their family because they know they've got months to live with terrible diabetes after 25 years? And how did he exit the stage? Jumped off a 4-foot stage, and he was supposed to have his feet amputated 3 months earlier. He's running around showing everybody, I got my feet, I got my feet. Of course, the doctors died. Why is it an epidemic? That's because all the baby boomers are following the advice of the doctors. God bless you. We love you, Canadians.